One of the 6 ministries which former Prime Minister Scott Morrison appointed himself to was the Office of Treasurer alongside Josh Frydenberg. Josh has gone off to Goldman Sachs now, and I'll tell you what, Goldman Sachs made a lot of money out of Josh's decisions while he was Treasurer. But the interesting thing is Virginia Bell has come out with a report on Scott's secret ministries, and it appears from her report in the second half of last year, Scott Morrison and Josh Frydenberg presided over the biggest takeovers boom in Australian history, 130 billion odd of assets sold, a lot of them to foreign private equity vultures, to foreign investment funds. We're talking Sydney Airport, the glittering gateway to Australia. Well, it would be more glittering if Macquarie Bank hadn't bought it in the privatisation 15 years ago. That was one asset gone to a consortium led by a New York investment bank, a private equity vulture. AusNet, the $20 billion takeover of AusNet by Brookfield, a bunch of tax crooks from New York, also via Canada. They don't pay any tax here or very little. Sold. Ticked off by Frydenberg as Treasurer. What about Spark Infrastructure? Another one, another vital electricity asset in Australia. Sold to foreign interests. How about Afterpay, a $40 billion deal sold to American interests? Now, if there's a big takeover, it has to be approved by the Foreign Investment Review Board, or FIRB as it's nicknamed. And FIRB is part of Treasury. And according to the report by the former judge Virginia Bell into Scomo's secret ministries, Scomo appointed himself without the knowledge of Josh Frydenberg. Now, we have tried to call Josh Frydenberg this week at Goldman Sachs because he left the Office of Treasury to join Goldman's after Goldman's had made millions and millions and millions, probably hundreds of millions, out of all these takeover deals. But why did Scott want to become Treasurer? Well, he said in an email, which has been discovered under FOI as part of this process of the Bell report, Morrison said that he wanted to because he was interested in FIRB. It was something to do with FIRB, therefore the foreign investment process. So bear in mind, here's the Prime Minister secretly appoints himself to FIRB to oversee these decisions. Whether he did have any active role, we just don't know. And whether Josh had any knowledge of Scomo's role as Treasurer, we don't know that either from the Bell report. The Bell report says he doesn't. But we tried to contact him this week. Callum tried to contact him. We couldn't establish whether he does or not. He didn't want to talk to us. So here we are, massive transfer of wealth signed off by FIRB under the authority of Scott Morrison and Josh Frydenberg. Josh has since gone off to join the giant vampire squid, as it's called, Goldman Sachs, the Wall Street investment bank. But why did Morrison want to be there? And what did they know and when did they know it? We don't know these things, but what we do know is that there were more than 100 billion in takeover deals, and Scott and Josh were presiding over these sales of essential Australian assets. Further back during his tenure as Treasurer, he presided over the sale of the second biggest private hospitals group in Australia, Healthscope, which is now controlled in the Cayman Islands, Brookfield again. What are they doing, these guys? Why is it in the national interest to flog these critical Australian assets paid for and subsidised by us, the public, to foreign predators who don't pay any tax in this country? What can possibly be the national interest in that? Well, we don't know. But we do know that Scott and Josh, Scomokio and Joshy Frydenberg, have conveyed huge favours to investment banks and to foreign financial players. There needs to be an inquiry into this. This is, in my view, probably the most critical thing which Scomo has done in terms of his stewardship of Australia during his tenure as Prime Minister. The robo-debt was a shocker last week, a lot of dissembling there, but this one is a true shocker. All these deals ticked and approved by FIRB, these assets now gone, their control gone. We're talking tax havens, we're talking no more contribution to Australian society because these guys, foreign financial players from Wall Street, don't like paying tax at all, and they don't if they can possibly avoid it. So Merry Christmas to you all, and thanks very much. We're going to have a big year this year coming up in 2023, and we'd really appreciate your support if you could throw us a few bucks to help pay the team and to help bring these important, these vital issues of national interest, which are not covered properly in the corporate media and the ABC, to light. We need to keep the pressure on. Thank you.